Hello, this is Glachimo, the author of Recurve. In this video, we're going to talk about levels. We still have our little demo server here with some variants enabled. The previous video, we covered what variants are, how to set them up, how they behave. So we've got some basic things set up in here, but we're going to talk about how to set up levels and progression today. Now, the leveling system in Recurve is extremely flexible, so we'll only really cover one way of doing it, similar to variants. We'll just kind of pick a basic path, set that up, and then I'll show you some other ways people are using variants who are using Recurve right now. So we have an empty levels page. In Discord, we don't really have anything going on. We don't have any special roles other than admin and Recurve. I've got a demo user in here right now that's easier for Recurve to work with than the server owner, which is my main account. So we're going to be playing with that today. But let's go ahead and set up some levels. So levels are role-based indicators of user progression. So they sync directly to roles in Discord. Recurve doesn't track progression or level state separately. It records the activities that a user engages in, and then at runtime or on demand calculates where they are in a progression path. So I'm going to use this button in the middle here, the generate levels button, to quickly generate a handful of levels just off rip. There is this create level button that you can use to create levels individually and manually. This can be useful later on, or if you already have levels created, you can create, or if you already have like progression roles in your Discord server, you can use this to sync those into Recurve with levels. But since we don't have anything, we're going to go ahead and just use this level generator. So the generator supports a handful of different curve types, depending on how grindy or difficult you want your progression to be. The default is just a very basic linear path up. You can tune the parameters to change the requirements of all the levels. You can also switch to different curve types that all have their own parameters as well. Let's go ahead and go with an exponential. I tend to like how exponential works. It's kind of a quick, easy on-ramp, and then things get harder and harder over time. And let's modify these parameters a little bit. We're just going to have it create 5 levels for now, because we're going to add a couple levels in on our own just to demonstrate how that works. But you've got 175, 306, 536, 938 just to start. So let's click create levels. And what this will do in the background is create 5 roles in the Discord server, and it'll create the levels in Recurve. So let's jump over to our Discord server, and you'll see that now we have 5 levels. And you'll notice that they pop up in this generated path. So when you go to generate levels, they generate as a path, which is a separate progression track that you can set up. We'll talk about how those work a little bit more later. But when you generate for the first time, there's this little button right here that you can use to move those levels back into your default path, which means there's no path role attached. It's just kind of your core base progression path that everyone gets by default. So we've got these levels 1 to 5. Let's explore what this page shows a little bit. So you see this manual tag up top here. That means that in order to progress from level to level, we need to use the /promote command in Discord and the /approve command. So this is just a manual promotion flow. Depending on how your community works, you might want to look at promotions before you allow them to happen. If it's a little more casual or hands-free, you can also switch on auto promotion for the levels when requirements are met. So that means when a user meets requirements, they have enough XP to get that level, it'll automatically promote them to it. You also can use the bulk editor to apply auto promote settings to all the levels. So if we click enable auto promote for all levels, that will switch it on for all of them. So as you can see, all of them are now auto promote enabled. Let's go ahead and give it a try. So right now, my user doesn't have any roles. To avoid having to assign roles to everyone when they join your server, you can go to this progression and promotion settings, and you can switch on this auto assign base level setting. That means that whenever somebody earns XP for the first time, it'll give them your base level automatically. Usually your base level should have no requirements. It's just kind of where everyone starts, and it'll hand that out automatically. So if we come in here and I log an event, I say it's me and me, and maybe Recurve hosted it and it took 45 minutes, blah, blah, blah. This now has awarded me with some XP. So you can see I now have the level 1 role automatically. I can also check my profile by doing the /profile command, and this will pull up where I'm at in my progression. So as you can see, this gave 152 XP. I've got 152 XP out of 175. I've got the level roll automatically. I'm already progressing through our path here. This is the default look for profiles in Recurve. You can customize how profiles look pretty extensively. There will be another video on how to do that. For this video, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to use just a single progression requirement so that we can just focus on levels and what they are and how they work. Another thing that you'll see on these pages is that you see this event requirement specifically. So if we go in here and we jump to the second page, you'll see that we can actually set requirements for our different variants that we have set up. So if you want a more nuanced progression path where people have to get a certain number of events and a certain number of this and a certain number of that, or maybe a certain amount of passive XP from messaging and voice chatting and things like that, you can control that all here in standard progression mode, and those requirements will obviously pop up here. If you want XP to aggregate together, this is a little, again, less complicated, more hands-off. You can enable flexible progression, which means that each level just needs to have a total amount set. So rather than it being per variant, per XP source, you just set a total XP amount that your members need to achieve from any XP source, and that will level them up. So if we jump back here again, I'm going to double check my profile here. I'm pretty close to leveling up. If I send a test message, maybe I'll have a little bit extra if I have that set up correctly. Yeah, I got 5 XP from messaging. But let's go ahead and see how auto promotion works. So I'm going to log another event and include myself. And when this gets logged, the system is going to check to see if anyone who's participating in this event is eligible for promotion, and then go ahead and carry out their promotion. So I got another 152 XP. That should definitely push me over the line, and we can see that I'm now at level 2, and my profile will reflect the same thing. So here I am. I actually jumped all the way through level 2 to level 3 requirements. The next time I log an event or the next time I interact and get XP, it'll do another check to see if I'm ready. Right now, I can just demonstrate how the manual promotions work. So you can target a specific user, give a reason, and then when this gets submitted, it won't apply right away. I actually just realized this user doesn't have access to use the promote command. So I can come over here and actually just, well, I guess I can just give him the admin command or something like that. If I jump all the way over here into my main account and give him admin, then he should be able to go like this. Promote Omi, blah, blah, blah. There you go. So the promotion's submitted. Now I can take this ID and hit approve. Remember, this doesn't apply yet, so Omi's still at level 2. But once I go ahead and approve it, that will go through, update the roles, and approve the promotion, and now there I am at level 3. So we can check my profile. There you go, level 3. I'm still on my way. I need more XP, etc. So that's how promotions generally look. Again, they can be manual or automatic, depending on how your community wants to work. You can also rename. So there's this edit. We'll just walk through what you can do with levels as they exist. You can rename the roles. So if you want to make it a little more lore friendly or a little more accurate to what you've got going on in your server, you can change the names. You can set them up so that they stay on somebody's profile when they level up, so that they stack. You can also set up rewards for levels so that when people reach them, they can get currency or items for further incentives for progression. But we'll go ahead and update that. This not only will update how it looks in Discord, but it'll also update how it looks, or in Recurve rather, it'll also update the role in Discord, so those stay in sync. We'll go through and change these. Just call that member. You can use the save button in the top right to just save where you're at instead of stepping all the way through. Regular, veteran, and we'll call this last one legend maybe. So there, we still have our 5 levels here. They still have their requirements, but now we just have a different look in Discord. It'll also reflect in the profile cards. You can add new roles, obviously. Let's just say Archon for a special sort of sound. You can pick a role color when you're setting it up, and that'll apply when it gets created. Or again, if you have existing rank roles, you can use those instead. But we're creating a new one here, and we'll set some absurd XP amount required to reach it. This name prefix field is interesting. If you have levels in your nicknames, for example, in some milsim servers, they'll have their rank abbreviated in the prefix. You can set up prefix, and when it goes to promote somebody, it'll look for the previous level's prefix and try to replace it with the new one. So that can be useful if you have that sort of cosmetic setup on your server. And here we are, yeah, so we can set the same sort of awards and things like that, and create, obviously, this big, huge jump appears with this new level. Now let's look at paths. So paths are essentially separate progression tracks apart from the default. So the default is what you get normally, but you can create paths that have all their own roles, all their own behaviors, and a person joins a path by having the path role. So we'll call this specialists and just go ahead and create this. And when you create a path, in order for somebody to be on that path, they have to have the base role plus a level role. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a level role for this path. We'll just say tier 1 maybe. And you can see specialists now pops up in the path menu. I'll give it a requirement, and you can set it up all the way you expect before, and this creates a path role. And when we come over here into Discord, you can see we have specialists and we have tier. I'm going to go ahead and jump into here and mess with this guy. I'm going to give him the path role. I'm actually going to take away his other roles so that he shows up in the path. Now when I say profile, it's going to show up as whatever that path role is. Obviously, my XP doesn't match up with the requirement that I set, which is where the adjust command comes in. So this is useful if something goes wrong, or you want to reward somebody with XP for some special thing that they did. You can use the adjust command, and you can give them XP to level out where they're off, or reward them, or what have you, and that'll apply to their account. I assume that because I took away admin, it's not going to let me. Yep. But that's essentially what the adjust command does. There's also prestige roles that you can set up. So if you want people to be able to go back through and re-level through and gain prestige, you can do that. It's kind of a basic prestige system. Once they hit the highest level, they're eligible for prestige. You can target a user with that, and it will reset them to the base role of the given path and give them the prestige role, and they can keep progressing on through. I think that's really all there is to levels. Again, this can be set up in all sorts of different ways. There are different progression settings that you can apply depending on how you want your server to work. But that's the essential ideas. You have roles attached to users. Those indicate where they're at in the progression tree. Recurve automatically manages those things as they gain XP and move up through the ranks. I'll go ahead and show you what the levels look like in some other spots. Soldiers of Retribution is a PMC Halo clan. They've got sort of standard military with 4 degrees in each. So it is a pretty gradual grind to get all the way up to the top. And as you can see, they have event-specific requirements. You have to get a certain number of events and host a certain number. Same with recruitments in order to level up. You can also set up paths to be sort of like an RPG. So in this server, there's a default path with basic things that you can work through. And then there are class paths, like fantasy classes, with their own requirements and levels within each path that you can achieve. So there's a lot of different things you can do with levels and paths and make your server more engaging. As you can see in some of these other servers, there's a whole lot of pretty cool stuff that you can do and customize it to fit how you want your server to work. So that's levels. Thanks for watching. We'll come back in another video to maybe dive into profile customization or rewards and other features that Recurve has to make your Discord server the best that it can possibly be.